All right, is it time?
It is time.
All right, it is episode number 2 of our season 2. Welcome to the Masters Monday podcast. Look, we are the fitness team of the Masters Fitness. I am Chan Ganaway.
I'm Carrie Sullivan.
And we are 50 years plus combined in the industry as curriculum builders, trainers, managers, educators, mentors. So if you don't know us, we've been around the block a little bit, and so has this wonderful lady we're going to introduce you to in about 90 seconds or so. Now listen, the Masters Fitness, we have a tremendous passion for success of the fitness industry as a whole. We definitely pay attention to all aspects and wanting this industry to succeed, but we also have an extreme passion for 40 plus fitness, which is the Masters age group. But today,
our discussion is actually on a topic that is a great interest to all of us, to us in particular, but all of the fitness professionals, and that is IDEA Fitness. To be exact, IDEA Fitness is the world's leading organization of fitness and wellness professionals with over 275,000 members.
Did we read that correctly, Amy?
Yes.
That's amazing. I'm sure you're having a big part in the growth of it too. So
I know. So that kind of segues right into who we have on today as our wonderful guest, and Chan's going to
I have to introduce you because I am connected to you for sure. But we're going to introduce award-winning, amazing mentor, Amy Boone Thompson, Vice President, IDEA Health and Fitness, Oxygen Magazine, IDEA China, and IDEA Korea, which we'll get to later in the podcast. Hi, Amy.
Hi, Amy.
Hi. Thanks so much for having me. I'm excited.
You're very welcome, and thanks for getting up early. We're on the East Coast. You're on the West Coast. We know how all of that works. But I do want to give them 60 seconds of how I'm connected to you. In 2001, Amy was the regional fitness director down in Southern California for Club One Fitness, which became Frogs Club One, which is how I met you. And I was in the Northern California region doing the exact same thing in the Bay Area. So that's our connection. And even from the first year that we worked together, it was all about education for me and you, if I remember correctly, and all about delivering information to the trainers so they could be elite trainers. I know you are a huge networker, and it's incredible what you've done since I've known you, which would be pretty much 20 years on the button. I've never seen anyone network and keep the elite around her like you do. So anyway, welcome to the podcast again. Thank you.
Yes.
We were just kids, Chan. We were just babies.
Oh my goodness. I remember I literally got chill bumps. We were becoming like CEC providers. It was our first time into that world of where we really went from studio or club management into, managing 80 trainers and 6 different fitness managers and the education. It was a big responsibility, but we'd also grew the revenue. I think back in the day, we grew the revenue the right way. And I think that's different between me and you, as we did it with integrity and education and high touch point service of our clientele. And that's what I remember about you, is really growing the business. And of course the revenue goes with it the right way.
Yeah.
You ready?
That's definitely the way to go.
She's going to put you on the spot.
Exactly. So we know a little bit about how you pioneered in the beginning, right? So can you kind of give us a 5-minute breakdown of your 25 years in the fitness industry, like from birth to, here we are?
Go.
Yes, I will. Okay. I'll use my whole 5 minutes, by the way. So first and foremost, I was raised on a farm in Utah. I'm one of 10 children. So I'm third born of 10. And we didn't have money for anything. So for me to do sports or to participate in any activities, I had to earn money. When I was young, I had an experience of watching college athletes play sports. And I recognized that if I could see her, I could be her. And that was my body type. I said, I want to be a basketball, volleyball player. So I saved all my money and I went to every camp I could. And our high school program ended up being pretty good. I got seen. I got to junior college on a scholarship. I played basketball, volleyball. And these were all vehicles for me to kind of get out of the house, out of those 10 kids. And then our junior college did quite well. I went to a Division I program back east and played basketball, volleyball. there as well. And then when I finished college, I was really headed down the path to become a coach and an athletic trainer. It was kind of the natural progression, being an athlete and thinking, what do I want to do for a career?
Right.
So I became an assistant strength and conditioning coach. And at the same time, to make ends meet, I worked at an all women's club as a personal trainer down the street from my university. And that was a pivotal time for me because I absolutely fell in love with personal training. I fell in love with the impact I could make for these women. They worked so hard, they gave so much, and I just fell in love with the career, the profession. So fast forward, I moved to California, literally put my stuff in a U-Haul and drove out, just chasing the sun. And there I walked into a club, took a position as a personal trainer. And that was just before I met Chan, actually. At that club, I grew my business. I started a basketball league there that was a semi-pro league. It was kind of my fun side gig while I was personal training.
Right.
And it was a semi-pro league where the women's NBA had started at the same time. So we were putting women into the women's NBA and playing against college programs all over the country. And the next pivotal moment was when, right before I met Chan, our company got acquired. I was a single site club. I was running the personal training program. Our club got acquired by a big chain, and they came to San Diego and gobbled up us and two other chains. One was Frogs and one was Fitness Advantage. And then then I became a GM. It really opened doors and opportunities for me that I had never seen were possible. And then I got to move into these different roles. And what I remember about that time was, again, seeing the greater impact I could have. And for me, my career has always been about purpose and impact. So those two things were things that I started to see. And when we got acquired and I started to take this program that had been so successful and try to take it to these other facilities, I had to work really hard on scalability, and I had to work on building culture. And I mean, talk about walking into a lion den, walking into a new team of personal trainers, and you're the new person and you're trying to direct and change their program. It was interesting times. So that experience, I actually left Club One to go to Fit for Mom, which was started by a dear friend and mentor of mine, Lisa Druxman. And I ran that company alongside her as her COO while I had my children. So in the mornings, I would teach stroller fitness-based classes at SeaWorld and Balboa Park. And then I'd go work in the office in the afternoon when the nanny came over. Those were really, really good years. Then I was looking for grandma. So now I had two young ones and my career took shape. We decided to move to Denver, where grandma was going to be located. And it was really a family-based move, but there I stepped into a similar role to what I had done with the Club One brand. So now we had 26 clubs across 7 states, and I was responsible for personal training standards, revenue, as well as group fitness and running those programs.
That's when the awards started rolling in, baby.
Yeah.
Look, you really had a great run there. Keep going.
Yeah. So I started to try to find what was next. And, I did a lot of work on me personally at that time. I did a lot of work on where I wanted to go create more impact. And I was recognizing what was happening in the fitness industry. The celebrity trainers, the Insta stars were taking shape. These scalable brands were really, and franchising. I had fallen in love with franchising when I was with Fit for Mom, and I saw the power in that scalability. So I needed to go and work with one of the best of the companies that had scaled, and that was Les Mills. So I took a position with Les Mills, and I was in business development for a couple of years here in the US, growing that brand and really just understanding. I mean, they've been doing it for 25 years successfully, taking a brand across the entire globe. So I learned a lot there. And that led to the award, which you mentioned. And then that I was actually interviewing for the role at IDEA as the awards were coming closer. So they had had my resume for 9 years by way of me applying for the award. And so now, as you said, I'm running IDEA, which is the association I've been close to for 20 years. And it really is a dream come true.
Now, I have to mention your family. I'm going to go back about 4 minutes. She is from a family of fitness freaks. I am talking professional and college athletes everywhere you look. And I remember following her and her brothers, and the baby brother played at Utah, was a center. And how large was this man?
He's about 6'5", I think, and I don't know. He got above 300, I think, at some point.
When I watched him play one night on ESPN, this is years ago, of course, and I remember hearing Boone, 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 and they talked about this kid playing center, and he was only like a sophomore. Right. But anyway, her family is truly amazing. Your career track, truly amazing. We're going to switch gears into your role today. Can you expand a little bit on your role today?
Yeah. So I think most people know that IDEA has been around for 38 years. It was started by Peter and Kathy Davis in 1982. And so they really have, it's a multi-approach to helping fitness professionals. There's the annual event, which is the IDEA World Convention. There is a membership whereby we support fit pros and business owners and instructors all over the world. And we also have resources. So we have liability insurance. We have soon to come health insurance. We have just a lot of resources for trainers. We have the IDEA Fitness Journal is really the gold standard in content. So we're putting out vetted research-based content to the industry. And so 3 years ago, IDEA was purchased by Active Interest Media, because it is a multimedia type of business in addition to being a trade association. So that brought in Oxygen Magazine. So I also run Oxygen Magazine. And then we had this joint venture in China, which is the one convention a year. And since I've come on board, we've added Korea to the mix as well. So now we have a convention in Korea that's coming up at the end of August.
Still planned?
Still planned. I checked with them last week, so fingers crossed we're still doing Korea.
Yeah.
Are you managing all this while you're walking down the hallway of your house on your phone? Like,
Yeah.
what are you doing all of this? Oh my God. Well, she doesn't stop. This one doesn't stop. And at every convention, I'm not going to tell them your nickname that you used to give yourself at the conventions, but this
I'm proud of it.
Okay, I'll let you do it.
I would like to know.
I'll let you do it.
What is it?
So I am passionate about networking, and at trade shows, I used to visit every single booth to get, even if I didn't need the product or service, I wanted to meet the people and get connected. So I fondly gave myself the name Trade Show Ho because I was at the trade show the entire time, meeting everyone, and meant in no sexual context. It was just that I just loved being there and meeting everyone.
No, I love it.
But she was at every morning workout, then she would do the booths, then she would do the trade show floor, then she would do the happy hour, then she would do the dinner. Those were some long days, Amy.
She gets around.
They still are.
That's awesome. I love it. I share that same passion. So you and I think we connected at a trade show for the first time, right?
It's like y'all known each other for 20 years. Yeah, it was great.
I don't have a stranger in my life. Everybody's a family member at this point. Yeah, that's awesome.
All right, listen, we want to transition to the July World Convention. So expand on that. And then you teased me with some communication that might be happening.
Yes, yeah. So we, what's interesting, 5-6 weeks ago, we were at PTI, IDEA PTI in Northern Virginia. The news of Corona coming to the States had just started. We felt very fortunate to have a sellout event. Everybody was starting to get skeptical. We came back from that event and had to send my employees home and to start working remotely. And then the uncertainty started to set in about world. So we, right now, we canceled a week and a half ago. California is still on shelter in place. There's no large group gatherings. There's no end date in place for those. And so we just knew that, you know, we're hearing this conference sees people from 80 countries. They can't fly to be here. People in the States can't fly to be here. And quite honestly, tens and hundreds of thousands of Fit Pros are out of work. And so we just knew that this wasn't going to be the time and place to come together to celebrate in July. We are planning a virtual event, so that will unfold in the next couple of weeks, but we just knew we couldn't celebrate in July just yet.
Yeah, and funds are going to be so tight for all of these fitness professionals, then you kind of restrict that element of it. So yeah, good call. I was obviously very disappointed because I was so excited about my Saturday morning presentation and the Masters Fitness. We were going to do a wonderful hour and 50 minutes of 40 plus intelligent programming and how to look at the 40 plus body a little differently. So, but hopefully the content can make it into the virtual segments for you as well. Okay.
What are some of the ways that ideas responded to the pandemic, and how have things kind of shifted? I know you mentioned virtual possibility of the convention, but what are some other things that have shifted for the company itself, and where do you see that for fitness professionals as a whole?
Well, we had, it was early in the year, so we had just finished our annual plan, so I pretty much could rip that up and start over. Yeah. I'll tell you what IDEA did first was we listened, and we didn't know what our Fit Pros would need, and it was evolving day by day. So we did a lot of focus groups with different club owners and personal training directors, and we listened to the franchise models, we listened to the licensed fitness models, we brought people together and listened. And from there, we knew that it was not a time to sell, it was a time to give and support. So we changed all of our marketing. We stopped, even though people were home and could take advantage of education, initially we stopped selling stuff and we started opening the gates to different aspects of our membership where people could benefit. So for example, we opened Workout Builder. We've opened just a lot of articles, a lot of content that's both for Fit Pros and for their clients. And we just want to be helpful. So then we started discounting our certs and our education just to help meet people where they're at and to allow them to come on in and to, take advantage of whatever IDEA can provide to help you. So those are the things that we've been focused on. Above all, our mandate is to inspire. And so we have been putting out a lot of inspiration from our presenters into the world and trying to lift people's spirits. And, Fit Pros are responsible for inspiring hundreds of people. Each Fit Pro probably reaches 100 to 200 constituents or participants. And it's our responsibility to lift up those Fit Pros. So when your bucket is empty, it's our job to fill you. And that's really what we've been focused on, is trying to be that positive light.
And it has worked. It's something that, I know that we're part of a group with IDEA, and we're so lucky to have that, because it's nice to be able to really talk and communicate about how the other struggles. And, we all have different struggles. And if you've been in the industry as long as we have, we're used to seeing things change and the ebb and flows of the fitness industry, with big group into, more of a personal training market, more to boutique fitness. And now so we're used to change, but man, we're not used to this challenge. A whole different beast. So,
you used to kind of control your own destiny. And so everybody kind of had to hit the pause button and how to redefine themselves a little bit. I was actually on the link last night of the on-demand builder that you got. Oh my gosh, Amy, is 1,000 exercises in the library?
Yeah.
Oh, I was like, okay, so I can't wait. Then that was on my phone, but I got to get, compliment IDEA. It was very easy to access it. It took like 3 seconds on my phone, and I was literally looking at exercises that I could drag and drop. So kudos to the technical team and to you guys for putting that together. And if you're listening, guys, please, there's a link on, I believe, LinkedIn. Where else did you put it?
Just go to ideafit.com and then look for our support page. Everything's there. You can get in. There's still our membership tiers that are blocked, but we've opened a lot of our content to make it available to everybody.
Well, if you are not a member and you're listening and you're not a member yet, please join, because it is like such a great resource and great idea giver, and the feedback. I love it. It's been really
gift.
wonderful.
That's actually a really good idea.
It's a great gift. Yes. Mother's Day is coming.
And you get the
Yeah.
There you go. I did all of my insurance through you guys.
Yeah.
So we're there. All right. We're going to switch gears.
Did you want to say something?
Yes.
I did. I have to say, because I teased health insurance and it's a big deal. So Chan, when you and I were at Club One, we were so proud to offer benefits, but let's be honest, it was incredibly hard to achieve and maintain. For trainers to get 35 plus billable hours of training is almost absurd for most. We are now offering medical and dental insurance that you can enroll in. You don't have to have an employer. It's for you. It's for your family. It's affordable. It's the first of its kind for fitness professionals. So starting May 1, people can enroll for June 1 benefits, and you will see a lot more information come. But I'm so passionate about this because I've seen so many people struggle and not have access to benefits.
Well, Amy, it is not an overstatement. This is groundbreaking, paradigm shifting information, because the independent, or as you stated, the in-club, very busy personal trainer, very successful personal trainer, maybe sitting at 25, 30 hours a week. They just missed the cut, and it's devastating.
It is.
And an instructor can't get 35 hours in a club. If you're teaching group fitness, you can't get those types of hours. So it really I'm just so proud of it that we were able to do it. It was part my initiative, but also some legislation happened last year that allowed for associations to offer this. So it just is a blessing, especially now with all of COVID and people being unemployed and faced with COBRA rates. This will just be perfect timing.
I've been doing this for almost 30 years, and it's been my career, and I've pushed, and I've argued with a couple of owners and people in the past, and I feel like it's giving the fitness industry value, and I feel like I am a valuable job, occupation. Like, I'm doing something. I'm not just a trainer, because for years I thought that was kind of like, oh, you're a personal trainer, like, oh, you're just a cheerleader, or, oh, it's I'm a life changer. Yeah. I'm on the front lines of the health industry. I am preventative medicine. I am an inspirer, a motivator. And it's really, really nice to be able to have people, and thank you for fighting for us. I appreciate that.
Virtual fist pump. Let's go.
Got it.
All right, listen, with tens of thousands of personal trainers and group fitness instructors that are now, in the last 5-6 weeks, going to the kind of virtual training aspect, or on demand, be it pre-recorded workouts or whatever, I would love to discuss 2 items pretty briefly with you. Number one, which I communicated with you a couple of days ago, was how do we protect ourselves professionally with the virtual world?
Yeah. Well, your liability doesn't change just because you're on screen. In fact, it enhances, because you can't see the mechanics, the movements, if you're in a private session or if you're in a group class. So it just increases your exposure. So I would advise any instructors who are teaching online, please make sure you're covered liability-wise. What we've learned, most club policies will not cover you outside of their facility. So it's always good. It's always been a good idea to have your own professional liability policy in addition to working in a club. But now even more so, if you are conducting online or virtual training, you do need liability insurance to protect you and your clients. And that is, IDEA's policy does cover virtual trainings. So there are several others that do, but just so you know, our policy does cover that. IDEA has also the power to broker the lowest rate in the industry, so we can beat any price out there for liability insurance. Just throw in that plug in, always trying to save money. But that's the power of us being 275,000 plus.
Sure.
We can keep the cost lower for our members.
Look, strength in numbers is the real deal.
Absolutely.
Second item here, and this might be more of a discussion, but certainly just put it on us, okay? Establishing credibility to win, to have big wins in this new fitness space. I instinctively, I'm just wired this way, Amy. I think about the credibility of now all of a sudden 500,000 trainers, certified or not, doing their thing. Tell us your thoughts about the certified, credentialed professional, letting people know about their credibility.
So, yeah, great question. What I wanted to share is that first, the live experience is always going to trump the virtual experience. I shouldn't use the word Trump, will always win. It will always beat the virtual experience. So what I learned from my days with Les Mills, they have already been a leader in the on-demand and virtual space. So I want to tell Fit Pros that this is not a threat to your live class. This is not a replacement for your live class. When we come back to your in-person classes, live will still be important. However, it is a wonderful gateway to bring more people in, especially now you're meeting people where they're at. You're casting a wider net to grow your business. So for all of those reasons, the virtual or online experience is wonderful. It's going to bring more people in. And it's interesting. I have a unique perspective here because Oxygen Magazine is now part of my fold, and those are typically not traditional club trainers, although we do have certified trainers. So here, Oxygen brought to IDEA a lot of the ladies, mostly ladies who had gone out and built a strong online presence. So we have the coaches who have the strong Insta followings, but they also have the credentials. And in fact, Oxygen will not bring coaches into our magazine or into our audience unless they are carrying the proper credential. So it's important to maintain your certification for a lot of reasons. Everything evolves. I mean, Chan and Harry, we've seen this industry change so much over the years. Everything changes. You've got to stay fresh. You've got to stay relevant. You should be touting your credentials, not in a boastful way, but in a I'm legit, I'm certified, I have my liability insurance, this is my business, and I think it's important to wear that proud.
I do too. I think that's something that you should put out front. And like you said, it could even be in a bullet point flyer that you're posting on your social media, but don't negate that. Just don't, okay, you have a beautiful body, you're sexy, we get it. But you know what I mean? I think people are going to appreciate that more as we go deeper and longer into this virtual world. I think the not so credible, flashy, I think that's going to wear on people. And at the end of the day, I think what always wins, I'm an optimist, what always wins is very sincere, credible, educated trainers. I think they win in the end.
Right.
Okay.
If they feel inspired, if they're getting the results they've asked for and they're being heard. I think that's the most important. Yeah, for
All
sure.
right. Now, I know how you feel about this. We want to spend about 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah. Okay. So basically want to know a little bit about the international work with IDEA. You talked briefly about it in the beginning in the introduction with Korea coming on as a new one. What have you learned from this experience of building this international? And I have a follow-up question to that. So
yes. Okay. So when I started this job about 3 weeks after I took the role at IDEA, I flew to China for their second annual IDEA China convention.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
And it was, first of all, meeting our international presenter team there was phenomenal. So we had worked collectively with IDEA to send presenters with subject matter that worked for their audience. And then they also have their Chinese presenters that come in. So they translate the sessions. Everything is so polished, so professional. I was just so proud to represent IDEA at that event. They really are, so this joint venture is really in tandem with the Chinese government, because what's happening in China is there's less than 1% of the 1.4 billion people that would belong to a health club. And so, or would we in the US, we say belong to a health club, but they're, let's say, participate in some kind of organized fitness club. Yet in the US, we estimate 20% of only 323 million people are exercising. So here, we've gotten to 20%. It's a little more saturated. In China, there is so much opportunity. They are in their infancy of developing the fitness profession, developing the fitness infrastructure. And what's happening is they are on a fast track to what the US experienced in terms of poor health, obesity, smoking, stress. All of these different factors are causing the health to decline rapidly. So this joint venture is in tandem with the government to help help really create a gold standard for fitness professionals. They fast-tracked right to the very best, which is IDEA, to say, how do we set up an infrastructure to provide education, to develop fit pros. They have colleges where the fit pros actually go and study and live on campus, and then become part of IDEA and come take our conference and go out and educate their
Oh, that would be, I want to go to that university.
It's called SIPU, the colleges. So the colleges don't belong to IDEA, but we work with them to take these students and get them out and help them build a profession. So the whole experience was incredible. Being there, it's like you're in the paparazzi, because the fitness professionals are so enthusiastic. They are so eager to learn. They just adore the presenters who come over. So the whole experience was phenomenal. They're respectful, they're humble, they are learners. So our presenters, just the feedback they give to us is, I haven't had an audience in a long time that is so eager to learn. And that's who the Chinese fitness professional is.
I got goosebumps for you, man.
That's super refreshing.
That's awesome. I want to make a quick point, and I think it's worth making. They're in the infancy, totally get it. The U.S. figured it out along the way with very little help, right? There wasn't an organization in 1985 to go, what do we do? What's amazing, and you said it in a different way, is that they get to deal with the people who figured it out from the infancy stage, which means, I think, would you agree that they're going to ramp up in 5 years, which is unprecedented growth in their fitness?
Hopefully. There's a lot more people to reach, but yes.
But they have so many more tools than we had available to us in the mid 80s, late 80s. I think that's amazing.
Well, that basically kind of answered the question.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, that you as IDEA, they're teaching them everything. But I guess, what is the one thing that you've learned from the international arena? What have you learned by going over there and, personally?
Yeah, I would say that fitness needs to take a different shape and form internationally. If we're going to help more people, it's not about grinding and working out so hard that you crush your body. We need to have a more holistic approach around fitness if we're going to encourage and attract more people. And so it is mindfulness, it is movement more so than high intensity or beating yourself up, or you have to work out this hard, set 5 days a week. The US has kind of taken a lot of curves, bell curves, if you will, in terms of our approach to fitness. But truly what I've learned internationally is, in order to attract more people, we've got to meet them where they're at, and we need to take more of a movement-based approach and start small.
Don't you feel as a mom, your children are in their teens, yes?
13 and 10, yeah.
Okay, we're getting there close too. But do you find that, I know you probably bring them up into the sports world, right? Just because you were an athlete as well. For me, I didn't have sports. I didn't participate in sports. Mine was more arts and music. But I sought out exercise in a fitness center environment because I just saw my dad do it. My mom took me to yoga. We weren't sports people, but we were at the YMCA in the corner watching my mom take yoga, right, with like 20 other women. And my dad would put on his dolphin running shorts and go running, right? And so I was like, that's what I knew. I feel that our children and their generation are exposed to fitness centers and working out. And you could see this because it's saturated with 20-something-year-olds all exercising. I feel like it's a thing. It's a scene. It's the way to be. And if we can find some normalcy in that, right, to weed out the why behind why they're doing it, right? Yeah. I feel like we're on a better track.
We might have two generations back to back that are exposed, I think is a good word to use.
Yeah. So,
yeah. I would recommend, Les Mills did a global consumer research last year, and they had interviewed 60,000 consumers, and they've got a lot of research on Gen Z, and that's the generation, what is their attitude to fitness? What do they expect? They bring in, talking about experience. Now with virtual training, we can't go back because it's the experience the member wants. The member wants you live, but when they can't go there, they want you virtually. And that's what Gen Zs are going to expect from us. They're going to raise the bar. They're going to want experience to be key. And you're right, they do have an appetite for fitness, but I think you would really love that consumer report. I'll have to dig it up and send it to you.
I would love to see it. Yes, I would love to read more about that. It's definitely my clients, of course, being more in the 40 and up space, they didn't love it. And then a couple of times over the past week, they're like, you know what? This isn't so bad doing live training.
I literally heard them say that.
This isn't so bad. Yeah. Like I can get used to it. So I'm like, so no excuses. Like you can't go to the gym. We got you. Yeah.
But I do think every time you mention boutique studio growth, every single time someone says it's the experience they're offering, not just the training. It's the hello, the processes, the formal processes that they all have in place.
Right.
Okay, here we go. Do you feel the online education and also the virtual training business will remain strong past this summer?
Yes. Okay. So again, I don't think we can go back. I think we have to, everything's been elevated. Right now, we brought in so many more fit pros and now clubs are in this game as well. So now we do have to polish the experience. Like I said, the bar's been raised. The bar's been raised on online education too. Like I even look at the stuff that IDEA puts out and I think our content is absolutely amazing, but the technology that we're using, we've got to keep lifting our game because the user experience has changed. I think what's going to be interesting, a lot of certifications were forced to go virtual where they would otherwise be live. And that's going to bring a new element because the industry had worked so hard to get to a point of, study online, but test in person. So it'll be interesting to see how those types of certifications evolve. But overall, I think that I've been saying this for several years, is you do need to have a live experience, but you need to meet your clients at their home the other 23 hours of the day. So whatever that vehicle is to connect with them, you've got to have the connection. If it's an app with virtual options, if it's the trainer offering a FaceTime, the clubs, the individuals, everybody needs to have a well-rounded way of offering fitness, and virtual is going to become mainstream.
You know, what's interesting, I heard, was it yesterday or day before we were talking, because someone kind of initiated the conversation, the tentative groups of people that would really not that comfortable in a gym are going to now start hiring virtual trainers because it's out. Do you think about that?
I do, but again, I still think that live is the best experience. So I don't think that's going away, but I do think that this will be an incredible vehicle for trainers to round out their business. Now that the consumers becoming comfortable with it, those who hadn't jumped in early, and I think that it's just going to offer trainers a lot more exposure. I mean, think about now you can train people internationally. Like you could for the last many years, but people had to figure that out. They weren't focused.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because I was a master trainer with a company that it's international and much like Les Mills, but they went to an online platform probably about 6-7 months ago, pre-COVID, right? And and it's group exercise and they're certifying. And I was like, how does that work? I mean, how are you correcting their forms so they can teach it properly? But I mean, they've been doing really well with this, but it's interesting. It does, as an instructor, a master trainer who instructs instructors, like I probably need to work through, like, how am I going to, it's going to up my game to teach these instructors using different tools.
I think that's a
technology, things like that, I
think that's a technology piece that Amy was talking about, is you have the great content, but the technology somehow is going to have to allow us to go back and audit or to check in on or to interact at some degree, right? The technology is going to have to allow that if you're certifying people, don't you think?
I do. It's interesting that now you're talking about instructors. So before I was referring to the consumer, but with training instructors and getting more instructors up and going, I do think we need to really just open our gates a little bit and And I learned this from franchising when we were bringing in franchises that wanted to teach fitness classes and buy a fitness franchise, but had no fitness experience. I was a purist. I had a degree. I had all the credentials, and I was kind of poo-pooing that process initially, thinking, how could they get what they need to be able to teach a fitness class? I really had to, I believe as an industry, have to look at all the different ways that fitness professionals come to our space. And with the explosion of franchising and even CrossFit, we saw this, it brought a lot of new coaches to our space. And so we will have to keep opening more ways for people to get certified, and then more gates for them to learn the rest of the touch points in the industry and to continue their learning experience. But I guess that was just to say
that's my fears. That's my fear sometimes is that, are they really retaining? They're at home watching this. I don't know if they're playing with their cat on the side and like not focused. Like, are they really, what are they getting from this? And how do we make sure that the standard is still there? So not everybody and their fathers saying, oh, I'm a trainer now. And, but they really have the tools necessary to keep that standard in our industry that I feel, the 30 plus years of experience.
Everything was just so physical with our generation. You know what I mean? Everything was so physical. Everything was tactile, physical. So the box has got to get much, much, much bigger for even the experienced people. It's interesting. Our learning curve may be bigger in the new way of doing things and versus the technology driven generation underneath us. It's kind of interesting how the challenges have almost flipped a little bit.
We can learn from each other. That's the key though, right? That's the key, I think, all learn from each other, right? So Amy, this has been such a valuable interview, and I love listening to you. And I feel like I can't wait until we actually are not virtual any longer, and we can really sit and talk about how our lives have been slightly paralleled throughout, our fitness careers, which is awesome. So thank you so much for being a wonderful guest and also a leader in the industry. We really are just really grateful to have you here. And, we can rely on you in good times and in challenging times. So.
You know what? And that's it. And she's been doing this. Amy Boone Thompson has been doing this for a very long time, and it has been leading and impacting for a very, very long time. I do want you to close us out, Vice President of Idea Fitness, with how the trainers out there, tens of thousands, can find resources with Idea.
I would love to tell you that. So ideafit.com. We are also in Facebook, IdeaFit, in Insta, IdeaFit. In LinkedIn, Idea's there, but that's my platform of choice. So find Amy Boone Thompson and follow me there on that professional LinkedIn. But I did want to close out by saying that, Idea's mission has always been to inspire the world to fitness. And I believe that you inspired the world to fitness by inspiring the world through fitness. And so for Fit Pros, I just want to recognize that this point in time is where you will be a shining star, a light in your clients' lives. Your job has never been more important to meet people physically where they are, but also mentally where they are. And your fitness is a vehicle for you to provide that support and to be that light in their lives. So we inspire the world to fitness together, but it truly is through fitness. And I just want to leave you with those thoughts that your job's never been more important. When your bucket is empty, we're here to fill you up. And that's our mandate, is to support fitness professionals globally.
And look, virtual or not, it's the connection. It's still a connection. And right now, it's maybe more powerful than it's ever been. You know what I mean? As you mentioned, the mental aspect. Well, look, we really love that you spent time with us. Thank you so much. If you can hang tight for about another 60, 90 seconds, okay? Bye-bye, guys.